On today's episode of Among the Clouds, I'm talking to Michelle Soto from the band Blushing. Known for their 2019 self-titled album, as well as their brand new album Possessions, Blushing is the perfect example of modern shoegaze and dream pop. We talk about their history, as well as the songwriting and recording process. Stay tuned. Hey, Michelle, thanks for doing the show. How's it going over there?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing the show after many times of me asking you to do it. And you guys have the new album out, so you have something to talk about,
Yes, yes, we
something to
do.
be
And
excited about.
very excited. And congrats before we get started on Whimsical's new single and album announcement. So I think we both have things to be excited
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
about.
yeah, this seems to be the thing where you guys release an album like 2 or 3 months before us, and then we're right behind you guys.
Well, we released our album on Beach House's release day, so we totally get that.
I have a feeling the next album you will beat us because we've already kind of said we're not going to rush it this time, and like I haven't written or recorded anything in like 6 months, so I know you guys probably have a bunch of stuff already written and ready to go.
Yeah, we had this crazy writing spurt. And that's how we do it is we usually we'll go months without thinking about writing and then someone will upload a guitar part and then I'll add the melody or vice versa. I'll write a guitar part with a little bit of melody and then it gets everybody kind of jazzed. Like the whole group
Hmm.
is like, "Ooh, that's good. That's good." Like keep going. And then that just starts tumbling and that happened a few months ago and now we have like 13 new songs, like brand new songs. Like we have enough to, if we wanted to, go and do another LP, which we're definitely not going to for a while. But then now, like we're kind of back in our dry spell to where we're like, okay, we've got a good amount of songs like that we could probably go and just like finish right now. So
Right.
let's take a break. And so yeah.
So yeah, that was part of my question. I was kind of thinking about it recently when I knew I was going to interview you. Was a how's the writing process go? Is it a group of everybody? Various people just come up with, like you said, ideas and send it to each other, and then do you guys jam it out together, or are people doing whole songs and then presenting them? How does that work?
A little from column A, a little from column B. In the early days, it was usually me writing the majority of the songs to begin with, like the guitar and the melody and lyrics and everything. And then, everybody would kind of write their own parts around that. And then in the past, few years, it's gotten to where like Noe will write an entire song, just, like the entire song minus melody and lyrics and then I'll jump in and sing over that. Something whenever I hear instrumental music, I automatically just start creating melodies and then the lyrics come later, but it's just a catalyst. Like anytime I hear Noe write a song and upload it to the drive, I'll download it and immediately just run into my room and start humming over it until a melody comes and then lyrics come.
Hmm.
But then and Christina's been a really big uh, help with lyrics and additional melody to where a lot of our songs have taken a whole different turn as soon as she got. But that happens more in the studio. Like Christina will be recording kind of the vocals that we kind of settled on, but then she's like, "Wait, let's take it here," and we're like, "Yes, yes." So like a lot of her contributions come um, more when we get to the studio with vocals and stuff like that. But like everybody takes the kind of basics that Noah and I come up with, and then we bring it to the group, and then we have a jam session. And once once Jake, my husband, the drummer, gets a hold of this, it can take a completely different turn. Like once the rhythm section, basically once Jake and Christina come in, we can go from having the most dreamy dream pop song as a demo and it becomes a punk rock song just because once rhythm gets involved like it's anything goes at that point and a lot of times it's way for the better But yeah, for the most part, it'll be either Noe and I writing the music, and then I'll write the melody and lyrics. But then once we get to the studio, melody lyrics can change depending on like what Christina's feeling. So it's definitely a full band effort once it gets to the final like album track stage.
Right. Now, is it ever demoed? Like, are there demos at the house with like drum machines and stuff like that, or is it just like you guys show up, you rehearse it, and people memorize it there?
I feel bad because I don't have a good DAW. I use GarageBand. It's very basic, but it does the trick. So I'll use a lot of GarageBand drummers because I actually don't like putting the drums to it because Jake has such good ideas that I almost wish sometimes like we could have it without drums because he adds so much when he gets a hold of it that what ends up happening a lot of times is he'll listen to our demos that have kind of like a garage band drummer and he'll be like, "Yeah, I like it, but I don't like those drums are cheesy." And so he'll write completely different drums, but we have my house, it was just kismet, but there's a shed in the back. I mean, it's not even a shed, it's like a full-blown little mini house in the backyard, and we turn that into a studio. So it's a practice space and it's got
Mhm.
soundproofing, so we can all go back there and practice and knock these songs out and free of charge as long as we want. And so when we go in there, like we have the demo, we've been listening to the MP3, and we have an idea of what the song should be. But once we actually get together, the four of us in that practice space, like that's when the song really becomes what the song should be. A
Right.
lot of our demos are very different than
Sure.
the end result. So
Usually I don't ask people like how the band started or whatever like that. I mean, I guess it kind of gets covered, but it's just odd that you guys are two couples. Like, what were the chances you guys knew each other, all played instruments, the perfect instruments to make a band? Like, how did that whole thing even happen?
It's really freaking cool. Like, I think about this a lot. I think about it a lot. That it was like a puzzle, a four-piece puzzle that just came together so perfectly. But it didn't, if you really go back and think about it. So Jake had been a drummer since high school. So he was already a drummer. That's the only instrument he's played was drums. He's the drummer guy. He was in a hardcore band called Soma in El Paso. They toured. They were, a pretty big band at the time. And Noé too. Um, he was in bands as a guitarist, a guitar player, and in El Paso too. Okay, so we have our drummer and our guitar player friends in El Paso. That's where they grew up. That's where they're playing their instruments,
So
and
they knew each other?
they knew each other in high school
Okay.
in El Paso. Yep.
Okay.
So they moved to Austin, and I met Jake, and I didn't play any instruments. I no instruments whatsoever. Um, but Jake got me so we met, got married, everything great. And he got me a ukulele like in 2011 or something. And it was just to pass the time it was just a cute little fun instrument that's extremely easy to learn. And I learned it really fast. And what I found was that as I was playing it, I was like playing cover songs, of course, but then I was starting to like write my own songs. So then he got me an acoustic guitar and, then I started learning guitar. So now I'm kind of playing around with guitar. At the same time, Noe is now living in Austin and, they've both long given up kind of being in a
Right.
band. I think Noe and Christina, he met Christina, they got married. They were in a band called Runners High. She was playing keyboards and vocals, but there was no idea of us ever kind of our worlds combining. We were just friends. We'd hang out at parties, Christmas parties, but I knew that she had a beautiful voice. And so I remember at a Christmas party, I was just like, I've been writing these songs on my guitar that I'm very bad at playing. And, but I can't sing and I don't enjoy singing. But I have these songs that I want someone to sing. And I was like, just come. I was telling Christina, like just come and, let's jam. Let's have just a jam session. And maybe you can sing over some of these songs or whatever.
Mhm.
So like our world, we're all musical people. Christina's classically trained. Her mom is a amazing, vocalist, and her dad plays amazing piano. And so she's a singer. I'm a really bad guitarist, but I'm trying to write songs. My husband's a drummer, and Christina's husband is a guitar player. But we never really thought to link up our 4, worlds, until I reached out to Christina and I was like, "Hey," and we weren't super close at the time, so it was a little awkward for me to be like, "Would you like to come over and, like, maybe we could have maybe we could play music together?" I remember being a little awkward about it, but she came over and it was great. We hit it off. It was just perfect. So then, like, at first, it was really just Christina and I trying to form a band together. We didn't even think to involve our husbands because we kind of wanted to do an all girl band at the time. Like, we thought maybe that's something that would be cool that we could do. We really didn't even consider that our husbands could be part of the band. But as we kept jamming and the songs, like, me and her were writing, were really good, we were like, we really should add a drum and lead guitar to this. So we were like, well, I happen to know a drummer. She happens to know a lead guitar player. I mean, it really did work out perfectly to where we just asked them, like, hey, this thing that Christina and I are doing, it's kind of legit. We've actually got some good songs. And they heard the songs too. Like, I would
Right,
show
I'm
them
sure.
to Jake and I'd be like, hey, these are what Christina and I came up with this evening. And he'd be like, it's pretty good. So we brought them on board. And then, of course, like, the songs changed, but in a good way. And yeah, and like, Christina had never, she had played piano. Like, I know she's very musically trained, but bass was new to her. And what's crazy is, like, she picked up the bass, and I think, like, within 2 or 3 weeks, like, already she was already like a pro. I hate when people can do that. I hate when people can do that, but I respect it so much. And she picked up the bass and she was a bass player like the next day. So
Yeah, because I thought about it a few times, like, what the hell were the chances? Like, who knew who first? How did it just happen to fall into place? And then what came first, hearing shoegaze, dream pop, or becoming a musician?
oh, definitely hearing the music first. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm no spring chicken, so I was hearing this music when it was popular, in the 90s. And it was, but at the time, like, in the 90s, I was actually more into, like, punk rock and yeah, I had a punk phase for sure. But I heard, alternative and shoegaze and dream pop happening, and I didn't, like, I might not have told my friends at the time, but I was really enjoying it. And then in kind of like the early 2000s, I really, through a series of boyfriends that were all shoegazers, I got really introduced into shoegaze. And I think I had outgrown my punk phase, and I was like looking for that more, 25-year-old friendly music. And yeah, like, so I really got into shoegaze like in the mid 2000s. It was really through Chapter House and Cocteau Twins. Um, After discovering those two around that time, like, it was pretty much no going back. The music definitely came first, and I think for Christina too. And then the guys, they have a love of kind of the similar dream pop, but I think they also love, like, the emo and hardcore and stuff like that. And that's where, everybody describes blushing as like having, the dreamy and the kind of fuzzy and hard breakdowns and everything. And it's a direct correlation between, like, me and Christina's music taste and the guy's music taste, and those
Right.
blending together. But yeah, we all loved and discovered shoegaze and dream pop before the band. I just had no idea how much of an influence it was going to have on the band, because when Christina and I were jamming, we were trying out everything from, you know, dream pop to indie pop. It wasn't even effects based because I just had an acoustic guitar. Like, it was just the writing of the music. But then we both were just like, they just kept getting dreamier and dreamier. And we're like, yeah, I think that we're really honing in on the music genre that we like, which is shoegaze and dream pop.
Right.
And then once we plugged in, it was like, yeah, we're writing shoegaze songs. We didn't intend to, but that's just where we gravitated towards because that's what we like. So
So that answers my question. So it's not like you heard the music and you're like, okay, this is what we're going to do with blushing. Like you said, it was kind of like an evolution of, it kind of found its way that. to that direction.
Yeah, we
Um,
didn't know what it was gonna be. It just ended up becoming shoegaze and dream pop because we like it. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, my songs weren't, and they still aren't great until the the group gets a hold of them. It's like some of the songs that I've written are really not so good, but then, someone in the band's like, "Wait a minute, like, let me try this, let me try that," and then they get really good. So I think that, for songwriters, it's so important to have a group. Not everyone. Some songwriters are brilliant and they don't need anyone, but for us, I think the magic happens when everyone gets a chance to put a little bit into the bucket, and just um, make it really good. Because I think I can write a pretty decent melody, but at the end of the day, like, I can't write a bass line, and I can't write a harmony, and I can't write, a drum, what, whatever. Where I think the the strength of blushing is that, like, not only can everybody play the instrument, like, you can get any 4 people to come and play instruments, but it's really the fact that everybody knows what's the best part that they should play with their instrument,
mhm.
and contributes that to the band. So
So when did you first discover shoegaze, dream pop, and was there any, um, like, I have a word on here and I can't, gateway bands, that's the one.
so like I had mentioned, in high school, I was, like, really into punk, but what was weird is that in the late '90s, in my high school at least, like, you could be into a lot of things. There were a lot of things happening, like
Well, the
punk, but
'90s were
then
awesome. There was, I mean, so many things going on, yeah.
yeah, yes, like, I was into, obviously Nirvana. I mean, how could you not be in the '90s? Like, um, but yeah, punk, ska, I mean, come on, I'm not gonna I'll admit it, I was into ska in the '90s. Um, and like Prodigy and Aphex Twin, like, there was so much happening that I feel like all of those bands, or a lot of bands, led me into kind of the more subculture. Like, you just keep going deeper and deeper. Like, I thought I was so cutting edge when I got into Pixies, like, when I was like, I don't know, 17 or so. And now, like, Pixies isn't a hard band to find. They're a pretty big band, but I think for me, if I'd say there was any gateway band, it would be Pixies, and Smashing Pumpkins, of course, like, got into them huge. And I think just the love of, um, melody with really crazy guitars happening, and weird melodies too. Pixies had some very strange melodies happening and song structure, like,
Especially the first EP, Hello Pilgrim and Surfer Rosa, it's like, "What the hell's going on?" You would have one song that's like the most beautiful thing you've ever heard in your life, the next song, you're like, "I think I gotta go take aspirin because my head is killing me." You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, some songs are so grating, but then you're kinda given a gift of like, "Oh, now here's a beautiful, song to follow
Right.
that up with," which I think, is a lot of what we try to achieve, like I mentioned, like, I think that we like having that, like, "Oh, you're nice and comfortable with this really pretty flowy song that we're playing you right now? Okay, well, how about we flip it on its head and fucking crank it up to 11," and I think that today, attention spans are so short, and interest wanes so eagerly that, um, if you don't kind of switch things up similar to the way the Pixies did, like, I feel like, you lose people. Like, there's some great, beautiful, beautiful songs, 5-minute dream pop songs, but, I feel like you can get lost in them to the point where you get bored with them, and I feel like at least my inspiration is to never let anyone get bored. I don't want anyone to get bored, and my inspiration from that is a lot of the '90s music that we listen to. I feel like there was never, like, these long, drawn out, I mean, there was, but the stuff I was listening to was short, sweet, and had, interesting changes, and
Mhm.
I got some inspiration from that.
So as somebody who's released a couple albums and a couple EPs in the genre or associated, genres, are you guys comfortable where you guys are? in the spectrum of things, or are you always trying to like push it differently on the next album, or is it just let's see what happens? We're writing songs and it is what it is.
That's a really good question. I think that we're very happy with where we are. We're actually extremely happy because when we first started writing songs, they were really just like, hey, maybe, maybe we can write a few songs and play like 2 or 3 shows and our parents can buy, a shirt or something. Like we had no idea, no ambition. Like we didn't even know what our end goal was or our goal was when we formed. We were just like, these are fun and let's have fun. And so the fact that anyone besides our mothers are listening to our music and buying our music is a an accomplishment to us. Um, but at the same time, you understand that like making music and recording music and writing music and practicing and everything that goes along with it is so time consuming and money consuming. But yeah, I think we would love to be able to go on tour and come back with a few dollars in our pocket and, you know, um, sell a few records. Like, I think we're at a great point right now because we are able to put out an album that enough people enjoy and buy and then go and see us live. And that's like where our main joy comes from is really like seeing people enjoy our music live. So I think we've hit the goal of not only playing music that our parents like, but that other people like and being able to go on the road and bring that joy to other people. So yeah, I think we're at a great spot, and if we can go on bigger tours and play to bigger crowds, then I think we'd be totally happy with that too, but,
Right.
um, right now we are on cloud 9 because I think we feel like, this album came out and it'd been 2 years of work, and people seem to like it, and our record label, like, they've sold out from what I can tell. I think they might be trying to get a few more copies to sell, but for the most part, like, they're sold out, and that's a like, it makes us feel good just to know that people are out there, like, listening in their homes and enjoying it, and that,
Hmm.
people might wanna see us on the road, so this is, like, the perfect spot because I feel like when I see bands get really big, it seems like a great thing when you watch it from afar, but I can only imagine, like, if it's taking I mean, I have a day job. I work for Apple. I work a 9 to 5. This is my office and slash closet, and I
Hmm.
sit at this computer 8 hours a day, and then blushing takes probably 3 hours a day of work, you know? I can't imagine if we got much bigger if I would have the bandwidth to enjoy it, to still enjoy it, you know? Like,
Hmm.
it's a lot of work being in a band, a lot of money, and so I'm happy where we are, really happy. It's exceeded my expectations when I was writing those songs on acoustic guitar 7 years ago, so
Like 90% of my songs are just written on that acoustic, and then I transfer them over, and that's why our songs really aren't super effects based because they're really just written on an acoustic guitar. But there's like another 10% of my songs where it starts off with I am messing with pedals, and you just come across that weird thing that you could not have written if it was just on an acoustic. Um, and you're like, okay, well, that's cool. I guess I'll start recording that and see what happens. What's your guys' process like?
I don't wanna speak for Noe too much, but once he got the Eventide, he, um, was able to, I guess, expand upon, like, a bunch of other things that he wanted to do, and we've used that a lot in our recent songs, but I think that, like, if I'm just gonna speak for myself, once I got a chorus pedal, and specifically, um, I got my jazz chorus, uh, amp, but then I also paired that with, um, some Roland, chorus pedals. For me, like, some guitarists have a love for delay, some have a love for reverb, and everybody thinks that shoegaze is all reverb, but it's actually, I mean, I don't know. I feel like shoegaze isn't a lot of reverb. Um, I just think that it kinda got labeled as a reverb genre, but for me, it's chorus. And at least that's what I found changed everything for me. I have two chorus pedals and chorus on my amp. And once I discovered chorus, I think I might over have abused it a bit, but maybe maybe it's a good thing. But that's where my serotonin comes from, is like when I crank up the chorus with a little reverb, with a little fuzz, but mainly chorus, like that I can play any chord and to me it sounds great. Like I can play any chord progression and if I've got enough chorus on it, like keep inspiring me to go down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well, where could this chord go next? And then when I take it to a chord that's good, it's even better because I've got a lot of chorus on it. And I don't get the same feeling from reverb. Like for me, reverb kind of only accentuates the bad of the things that I play. Same with delay. So maybe because I'm a really bad guitar player, chorus to me kind of just makes everything sound better when I play it. And so I developed this love affair with chorus, um, where now I can't kind of stop. But yes, No Way with the Eventide. He's able to play stuff that I've never, otherworldly, like things that I've never even dreamed of, that I don't even think pedals exist for, that
Prior.
can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. A clean guitar with no chorus is just it's a naked guitar. Why would I
Yeah.
even want that?
You're starting with an acoustic guitar, which I feel like if you can write a song, especially a shoegaze song, on an acoustic guitar, you already know, like you already have it in your head how great it's going to sound once you can run it through, you know, all the effects and modulations. I think that it's like, to me the to me I almost feel dependent on the effects sometimes because again, I'm not a huge strong guitar player. I can play some basic chords. Um but for me, like I I'm not so great at playing chords that like the chorus almost like helps me realize the end goal because it makes it sound a lot better once I put the chorus and reverb on so that like when I'm playing, all my different chords, they sound a lot better in the end than if
Sure,
I
I
because
get
when I
it.
play on a guitar when I play on the acoustic guitar, especially bar chords, it's like brr, bleh, bleh, like it's
Right, it's
awful.
boring. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
get it.
so it helps me like when I put all the effects on it, it helps me visualize and realize like what it could sound like. It
Sure.
helps me write in a way because I don't get too self-conscious like, oh, on an acoustic, I just played that chord and it sounded horrible. Like I can play it bad on electric with chorus and it's like, oh, that didn't sound too bad. Like kind of buffers the shittiness of my
Sure.
guitar playing.
There you go. That'll be the headline of this this fucking thing. Listen to her buffer the shittiness of her guitar playing. End quote. All right. So I start asking about the internet and stuff like that as far as how you write songs. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. You guys are sending each other files and stuff, but you guys see each other regularly. If you weren't sending each other files, you still would be seeing each other and rehearsing and whatnot. So the songs would
Yeah.
still get written. Like Chrissy and I can't do what we do now if it wasn't for Dropbox, is basically what I'm getting
Right, right.
at.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, stuff happens a lot faster because we can upload it to Google Drive. Like Noah will be like at like midnight, he'll be like, "Hey, I just wrote this cool song. Check it out." And I go to my computer in the morning and I download it and I'm like, "Oh, that's badass." And then by like 3 or 4 p.m., I've already laid down a vocal track. And so it speeds up the timeline. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, like Christina and Noe live, I don't know, 15 minutes from Jake and I. So it could still happen. It just happens. That's why I think we're so prolific, at least right now, is because things can happen on such a short timeline. You know, Noe can write something one evening, upload it. I'll write melody and lyrics to it. And then by the next practice on Friday, because we usually practice on Friday or the weekends, we've already got the material to practice. So, what could have taken us, like if Noe were to show us in person, he'd be like,
Right.
oh, like I was working on this and noodling around, and I'd have to sit there and listen and then come up with a melody on the spot, which I'm not good at. I like to sit with it and really, really work with it. So it speeds things up, but no, like it's a combination of, it starts digital and it starts with Dropbox or Google Drive for us, but it doesn't take flight until we get in the practice space in our backyard,
Right.
together. Yeah.
Do like shoegaze, dream pop, whatever gears released all the time, whether it's pedals or plugins or whatever. Is that something you guys pay attention to, or do you guys just have like your gear? I mean, do you have your setup, or are you always updating your gear? I'm sure he's probably doing it more than you are, but um, what's that all about?
Yeah. Okay. So I recently switched from a rat to a supreme fuzz. um that was my main, like, in the past year. I really like, once I like a setup, I really don't like changing it. Like, I'm not big for change, cuz like once you dial in your tone and you're happy with it, it's 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 fun to play around with new pedals, but at the same time I'm scared. Like, I'm scared of that first live show where like maybe that fuzz pedal or whatever new pedal like did not sound as good as I thought it was. So, um, I switched out my Rat to a Supreme Fuzz, and so far so good. But we haven't played a lot of shows, like, the pandemic and everything. Like, we've only played like 3 or 4 shows since I've switched over. So, but I think it's working out good because I feel like the Rat was a little too. Um, oh, I'm bad with descriptor words when it comes to sonics, but it just felt a little too high-end crunchy hair metal when I wanted to be more boomy, thick fuzz. And I didn't want that tone to change, and like that super high frequency rat metal sound was a little too much for what I was going for when I wanted to switch to fuzz. So
Right. Yeah, the
that,
rat has like a sizzle at the top.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
And I wasn't digging that. I lived with it for like a year, and then I realized I just did not like that. So I wanted something with a little bit more width and depth and roundness to it. Again, not don't know how to describe what I'm saying, but I'm sure you get it. So that's been my main change lately. And then I've already talked about how I use a lot of chorus. Um, I don't know really. Noah's done a lot to his board. Christina, though, I think the big thing is that Christina's added, um, God, I feel bad because I don't know which fuzz pedal she's added, but she added a fuzz pedal to her bass. And she's always played around with adding fuzz to her bass, but I think she finally found one that she really likes. And now when she clicks that on, like it takes us to a whole other level. Like, and I think it's kind of Jesus and Mary Chain, and especially like Ringo, like when the bass fuzz kicks in, it's just like, okay, now here we fucking go. Like, so she's clicked on the bass fuzz, and that has been a game changer for us. Like, it takes things in a whole other trajectory. So
When you guys are writing your songs, are you conscious of song structures? Like I have like two basic song structures that I'm always sticking with, which is basically a verse, chorus, some sort of middle, verse, chorus, end, or basically verse, chorus, some sort of middle that basically never goes back to the verse choruses, and it's just the whole last half of the song is something totally different than the first half. That's pretty much
yep.
my two standards. Or do you guys keep that in mind when you guys are writing, or is it just whatever happens happens?
I'm a huge fan of a bridge. Like, for me, I feel like the most effective way to make anyone fall in love with your song is to have the bridge be better than the verse or chorus. So for me, I when I write a song, I'm always conscious of needing a bridge, needing to take the, like, verse and chorus. Chorus is great, chorus is the hook, chorus is what's interesting. But I feel like what makes people a fan of the song is what you give them after the chorus, which isn't another verse. It's actually like if you give them a bridge that's even better than the verse and chorus, then you've got a fan for life. Like if you wowed them with the verse, really wowed them with the chorus, and then just knocked their socks off with the bridge, that's it, game over. Having said that, that's not that's not easy to do, right? You need
Right.
three great parts. So when I write a song, I'm always thinking about verse, chorus, of course, but to me, the most important part to me is the bridge. And and on our latest album, we actually forego the bridge on a few songs, which at first I was kind of, it made me uncomfortable because my whole thing was like, no, wait, the bridge is the best part. I love writing bridges, 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 bridges. But like Sour Punch is one of people's favorite songs on our new album, and it doesn't have a bridge. And I realized like maybe the bridge is outdated. Like maybe our attention spans can't even wait till the bridge. So, song structure, to me, I focus on the bridge, but at the same time, I need to realize that like some songs might get bloated with too much verse, chorus, bridge, chorus for, middle eight, whatever. And maybe some songs live better in the area of just verse and really good chorus and verse and really good chorus and done. And so I've stopped bloating our songs. I think when I'm writing, I've stopped thinking because I used to write every song with like, okay, this is great, verse, chorus, but where can we fit in a bridge? And if you listen to our old songs, like every song had a bridge. And now I'm starting to realize like, but if we write a good enough verse and chorus, maybe we don't need a bridge. And so I'm in the middle right now of songwriting, of thinking what's more important or where do I need to put my focus on. But I've wholeheartedly 100% decided shorter songs are where it's at. Our
And I agree.
album
I just can't write them. I wish I could.
No, that's the thing is I can't write like for me, if I had my way, all of our songs would be less than 3 minutes because
Oh yeah,
I can write,
I would too.
verse, chorus, verse, chorus done in 3 minutes. That would be great. Um, but then when I bring it to the group, everybody has their own contributions and they're great, but it's like, wait, let's do that chorus twice here, but only do the verse once here, and then do the chorus twice again. So now it gets longer and longer. Um, so I would say to me right now, brevity is the soul of wit and soul of music, I think at the same time. So I'm just trying to write shorter and shorter songs because I feel like attention spans are shorter and shorter, and you
Yeah,
can go listen to a 7-minute song somewhere else. But right now, like we're in the 3-minute mark, right?
I would give anything to be able to write a 3-minute song, but, um, but we're not hitting 7 minutes either. It's like every song is 4.5 to 5.5, every single
Yeah.
song, no matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I'm trying to do. That's what it is for us. Um, I wish I could do 3-minute songs, believe me, I do. But my problem is I can't do verse, chorus, and be happy that's a song. To me, I feel like I'm cheating people, so it's always like intro, verse, chorus, some sort of middle section that's probably way too long than it needs to be. And then it's either like a double chorus or a verse chorus ending, an ending that is something completely different than that hasn't been on the song. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I'm like, so I try not to think about that because I feel like I didn't earn the song, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I got hung up on that originally, but I really do feel like less is more. Like let less is more. Don't bore us. Give us the chorus. Like just and like we struggle with that because like at first we used to write all of our songs with an intro, like a measure of instrument, and then we would get into the lyrics. And now, like again, I bring up Lost Cat. This must have been I don't know, but Lost Cat goes like literally right into the lyrics the minute it starts. We've now started toying with the idea of just like what if we just jumped right into it? And what if we just cut off the minute the vocal stopped? Like I I feel the same way, like, you kind of wanna give people what they bargained for, but at the same time, it's like, just now we've started just jumping right into it, like, right off the bat, right into the chorus, like, starting the song with the chorus, starting the song with the hook, because some people won't even stick around long. I mean, our album's been out for 6 or 7 days, and it's old news, like, in this day and age, like, you
Yeah.
get a day. Like, we spent 2 years working on our album, and it was talked about for a few days, but that's the world we live in. Like, I feel like, the songs even have to reflect the fact that, um, people will give you a few milliseconds of their attention, and that's all you got.
When you guys are going in the studio with Elliot, are all the songs totally finished? I know I thought I read somewhere yesterday or something where you were saying you kind of wrote something, one or two in the studio. So how's that going?
Well, it went well. For the most part, they are, I'd say, 90% finished. We like to go in with a little unfinished business because we know that we're have him as a producer, and so his input has been really good and really helpful. And so going in with 90% finished song has always benefited us because he can give us suggestions and ideas. There's some songs that we have gone in and it's like, this is the song. A to B, front to back, one to two, like this is the song. And it hasn't changed much. But for the most part, most of our songs have all had the Elliot influence. Whether it's just, the effect that we put on it, it's the same song, but he has a plethora of preamps and MIDI verbs and everything going on that like we can pull from and make it sound even better, all the way to, like I was saying with Lost Cat, the song completely changed from a dreamy, slow, sludgy song to a punk rock floor banger. And so for us, like, we've known Elliot, we've worked with them long enough to know that we could go in tomorrow and bring him 12 songs that are perfectly done, finished, seal the envelope, and they would come out totally different and totally better. So we try to leave him a little bit of leverage to put his stamp on it. Um, and I would say that for the most part, all of his suggestions we've taken. I think I'm the only one I'm the only person that maybe says no, and sometimes I regret it, but sometimes, like, his suggestions are usually crazy and brilliant, and they work beautifully, and then I'm the only one that's like, "I don't think so," and sometimes I'll say, "I don't think so," and then I'll be like, "But let's try it out," and then we try it out, and then I'm like, "You were right. You were right." But, like, sometimes they're so crazy that I just have to say, I just don't think so."
The
But we try it and they work, so,
Elliot influence, like you
yeah.
said.
It's more like we show him our 90% done song, and then he's like, "That's cool, but let's plug you guys in and let's start figuring out how that song could go to the place where I'm thinking." Now, that's not all the time, like, for, well, for a number of songs, like, we were in the middle of recording and, well, like, for Lost Cat, I keep bringing this one up. This
Man,
must
this
have
damn Lost
really
Cat
I
song.
know.
You're gonna blow me
It
away when you tell me it's actually about a dog. I'm gonna be like, "What?"
it's not even about a cat. Um, it's just the one that, like, I guess this was such an anomaly when we were recording it, but, um, again, I think it was because it started such a slow, dreamy song and became what it became that it sticks in my mind for how much it changed. But it was one where, like, I know Jake was in the studio, like, in the drum booth recording drums, and he was just, like, bored fucking around, and he was just like, after a take was done, he just started playing, like, this, like, fast punk rock beat, not like, just to, pass the time, and And Elliot was like, wait, like what if the song went there? And so then the song ended up, having this fast punk rock beat in the middle. But that's kind of what I'm talking about when I say, like, we go in with 90% because we know Elliot's going to say at some point, wait a minute, what if this song did this? And we already know, like, he's going to say that about a lot of our songs. And so we kind of leave space in there for Elliot
Sure.
to be like, what if we took it here? What if we took it there? So for Lost Cat, it was such a basic, boring, dreamy song when it started. We let
Boring
him
ass
take
cat
it.
song.
Yep.
How long do you guys spend in the studio with them? For I mean, it's got to be a while if you guys are experimenting like that.
I mean, okay, so it was way longer than expected with this last album because we went into the studio in December of 2019, started recording demos with him, just demos, December 2019. And when we were ready to start actually recording real tracks was March 2020. We all know what happened. Normally, we would like to spend less than 6 months in the studio, less than 3 months, really. Like,
Jesus.
I know.
What's up, Blink 182? How long were you in the studio?
And no label's paying for this. Like, this is out of our pocket. So it's not like we're My Bloody Valentine, like bankrupting Creation Records here. Like, but it was the pandemic, like we all had to make time where we could make time. We spent a year in the studio with Elliot for this last album, Possessions. The one before it was less time. I want to say like 6 months or less. I mean, ideally, we would like to have an album done in 3 months, but because of the way that we work with Elliot, like, it's kind of like he lives, 10 minutes from our house right here. It's easy for that kind of convenience to go on for a year, or a few
Right.
months.
But are you guys setting up drums every time and getting sounds and stuff? Because
Not
that's
drums,
crazy.
not drums.
Okay.
So drums is different. Everyone has ever recorded an album knows recording drums is different. That's the stressful part, is like getting the drums for our album is stressful because you don't want to keep setting up the drums and drum mics every
And
single
having a
time.
different
That
sound
needs,
every time.
yeah.
Right.
No, no, no. Drums and drum mics and drum recording, once that's out of the way, then we have the freedom to play around. I would say setting up drums and drum mics and recording drums, that's the first priority of our album. And that usually is a month, maybe a month. It depends. Like, every album we've done differently, so I can't really
But
say, like,
are the drums there the entire month with the mics on them set up?
yeah.
Or are you guys going, okay, all right, so it's not
Yes.
changing that much. Okay.
Because Elliot's studio, we can be like, okay, nobody touched this for a month because we're in the process of recording Blushing's drums. And we can usually, reserve that space for that month.
If you had to pick one shoegaze dream pop song, it doesn't have to be your favorite, but if basic it can be your favorite. It's just which song, if someone's never heard of the genre before, which song would you show them and why? And then which song of yours is your favorite and why?
Me personally, my favorite shoegaze song would be Medicine, Her Highness. I feel like it's just criminally overlooked.
Well, they're
It's just,
criminally overlooked, but yes.
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. But that song in particular, everybody focuses on the big few that they know, but that, Her Highness is just, I like open up my sunroof and I put that song on, and like I'm just in like a high school bliss like throughout that whole song. So that's one of my favorites. I mean, I have a ton, but that one
Sure.
comes to mind. For us, it's really hard because, it's like I have my favorite Blushing songs, but then the ones that I think that represent us best. So this one's weird, but my husband Jake, our drummer, loves this song a lot, and I didn't give it a lot of credit. It's an older song of ours, but it's called Mess. Um, so I think Mess deserves a little bit more credit than it got. And I'm not a huge fan, but Jake says it's a really good song of ours, and so I'm going to say that this is one that I think needs more attention, and I see where he's coming from, so I'm gonna say Mess. Yeah.
Is there a song that you thought was gonna be like, you're gonna put it out as a single or whatever, and you're like, dude, people are gonna fucking lose their minds, and then that comes out and you're just like, that was not at all as cool as I thought it was gonna be? Or is there a song that you thought like no one was really gonna care, and then all of a sudden it becomes like this big fan favorite, and you're like, really? That fucking song? What are you talking about? So is there either of those?
So we released our second EP week, and it kind of had the sophomore slump, and I think we were all just like not really feeling that EP. It didn't get the love it deserved. But what's cool is that this one song off of Week called Hidden Places, like for some reason, a lot of people, and when I say a lot, I mean like probably 98 people, really expressed how much they liked Hidden Places, and we never even it wasn't on our radar. Like, the lead single off of that EP was Weak, and, we didn't even think Hidden Places would register with people. So the fact that, like, Hidden Places, became one that was requested live, and, people ended up enjoying that one a lot, was cool and kind of exceeded our expectations. On the same EP, like, the lead single was Weak. And I mean, not saying it didn't people didn't like it, but it was just funny that I think more people liked Hidden Places than Weak on that same EP. Like, maybe we should have picked that one for the lead single on that EP. For me, I love Sour Punch. It's like one of our most popular songs off our new album. And just purely personal, it's it sucks to play on guitar. It's just bar chords the entire my index finger gets no rest, and like it starts cramping up near the end of the song, and I'm like, do people really like Sour Punch? Like, do we really need to play it? And they're like, yeah, people like it. Like, fuck. So
Well, I like it. I think it's a good song, but hey, it could be worse. You could be playing "Let's Go to Bed" for 40 years.
true. Or it's can't get no satisfaction.
For
Yeah.
70 years or however
Yeah.
old those fucking guys are.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing the show. Thanks for talking to me. Hopefully I didn't say too many stupid things, and but thank you. Good luck with the album, and uh I know you said that you think it's basically come and gone already, but come on, it hasn't come and gone. You know what sucks though about us releasing albums so early in the year is by the end of the year, no one's even gonna remember these albums
I
whatsoever.
know. We've got to all just like keep reminding people, like, hey, February, January, March, come on.
I'd like to thank Michelle for taking the time to talk to me and doing the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.